Good morning from Teacher Melissa. It's about 10 a.m. is Eastern Standard Time on a Saturday morning, and I finished teaching my morning block of 7 classes, which is what I normally teach on a Saturday morning. So I thought I would tell you one of my success stories this week with some trial classes and how you can be successful with this trial class no matter what age your student is. An interesting week I had. So this week I had the very beginning level 2 trial, that very basic one with A, B, C, apple, bed, cat. So I just want to show you quickly how I do some TPR and use some quick props to make it interesting because it is the most basic level 2 trial class. So of course I have my flashcards for A. I have an apple. Every Chinese kid that knows any English, they all know apple. I don't know why, but that's the word they learn. They learn apple. I guess because they learn the alphabet, and that's a standard. A is for apple, right? So they all know apple. So I have my handy fruit basket that I bought for like $2.50 at the thrift store. It had all this cheap plastic fruit in it, but it's great. I can't tell you how often I pull from my thrift store fruit basket for so many lessons. So I will just grab my apple. Apple. B in this lesson is bed. So I go to sleep in class. It's a great way to rest your eyes. So I go bed, and then I snore really loud. And the students crack up. Mom's sitting there. She laughs. And I try to get them to do it too. You go to bed. Bed. And they're seeing the picture of the bed. So they are understanding. Bed is for sleep. Bed. Then I do a little TPR for cat. I make my whiskers. Now this is American Sign Language. Chinese Sign Language is different. It's just TPR. Cat. Meow. Cat. And I try to get them to do this. It's good to have the letter, the visual on the screen, and some kind of TPR. I've got a little cat magnet, but I don't usually pull it up. I want them doing some TPR, especially in a trial. If you can get them to play with you, it's much more fun for them, and they can feel successful doing what you're doing, even if they can't say what you are saying. And my goal is to let that student have fun, yes, but I want them to feel successful doing something in my classroom. So I will show them this TPR to help them to feel successful when they do it with me. So that's just the basic TPR and stuff and props that I use for this Level 2 Unit 1 trial in that new classroom with the interactive slides. Now, I'm going to pop up this slide that's kind of toward the end of this trial. By this point in the class, I'm usually looking at that clock and realizing I have quite a few minutes left, and I'm almost to the end because there's not a whole lot with this trial. If you've got a child who's actually sitting there and not running around the room screaming or picking boogers or whatever they do, if they're actually doing the class, it can go pretty quickly. So even if I've extended some throughout the lesson. So I'm going to park on this slide for quite a while. Now, you'll see this one that I've popped up here. This kid could maybe be a pre-VIP kid. Now, he told me he was 4, but he could speak pretty well, so he might be ready for a level 2. But you can see he's just a little guy, okay? So we had fun with this little guy counting the apples. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, maybe you have, but there's more than one apple. The objective is to say apple, get them to recognize this picture on the screen, and drag and drop the apple into the grayed out apple on the picture. If you get them to do that, you've passed the objective. Great. You've got a student who knows what they're doing. That objective takes like what, 2.3 seconds, and you need this slide to last longer than a minute, so we're going to extend here. So I show them by kind of dragging out a little bit that there's more than one apple. So we will count the apples. I'll slide over. You can see he's counting on his fingers. I've slid over several apples. Then I say, how many apples? He's a trial. Level 2, Unit 1. He doesn't know how many, so I help. How many apples? 1, 2, and I'm sliding, and he gets the idea because he knows a few numbers. So you can see he's counting on his fingers how many apples. So I can slide a few apples over there and use counting, which is not an objective in the lesson, which is not on any slide, counting anything, but that's my extension to let the child and the parent feel successful and know that we can go beyond the lesson content in a VIPKid lesson. So we'll count. Again, here's my handy fruit basket. I also will teach colors. What color? Red. And then we'll look, is there anything else on the screen? Red. Red. Where else? Red. Red. Then I'll circle something else red. Love this fruit basket. I'm telling you, it had a green apple too. So I have 2 colors of apples. What else is green? Look. Bed. The bed is green like the apple. Drag and drop. Now, if they don't get the drag and drop part, I'm going to do this TPR, drag and drop, and I'm going to click on the bed or the apple or whatever, and I'm going to move it a little bit and then put it back in its place. Or I'll move it slightly in to the picture and say, where's the bed? Bed? You drag and drop. So I'm going to wiggle the stuff so they know it's movable. And I'm going to drag a few things and then let them get the idea. So you can see I extended this just a little bit with colors, dragging and dropping, counting. So it's very simple for this little bitty 4 or 5-year-old little boy. And he did great. And they loved the class. Mom was laughing, smiling next to him. I could hear her the whole time. So now I'm going to pop up. This is an older boy. Look, it's the same level. It's level 2. Unit 1, and this teenager popped up on my screen. Now, the first thing I'm thinking is, I'm going to need to switch levels. This is going to be too easy, but I still wanted to evaluate at the beginning. Folks, this 13-year-old was slightly behind the little 4-year-old I just showed you a moment ago. He is a beginning student. Now, my brain is clicking into gear, and my challenge is instantly, how am I going to make an ABC lesson not be too babyish for this 13-year-old boy? Now, this is as much as he knows. He can sing the ABCs with me, I discovered at the beginning as I'm evaluating his language. And he knows the word for apple, and he could do bed. He laughed when I snored. Okay, same thing. But I'm talking, I couldn't even use more incidental language. He's a beginner. All right. So my extensions were much funnier. I wasn't just counting the apples. We did it all, tried to make it more fun and a little bit older for this boy. So you can see when I pulled up the slide and we were on this one, I used the TPR I had used earlier in the lesson, the same one. And I was saying a little bit bigger sentences. Put the apple on the cat. Drag and drop. He wasn't quite sure. I put the apple over on the head of the cat and went, yes. And then I took it away and I told him, now I've modeled, put the apple on the cat. Good. Then put the apple in the window. Window. He's not sure. I'm going to circle the window. Cat. And he was able to slide that over. So we put the cat all kinds of places. We put him on the bed. We put him in the window. We put him under the chair. And we moved those cats all around. Now, when I got to the apples and I wanted him to count, I needed to see if he could count. So I slid them over. 1, and he's counting out loud, feeling successful. You can see a smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this was easy. I'm thinking this kid can count. He's learned counting. He's 13, so he has learned some basics. So I start sliding them a little faster. And he's at 12, 13, 14. And then I slide him really fast. Boom, 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 boom. And he's, ah! And it was funny. Many apples, 100 apples. And we just kind of made it funny. And he laughed, ha, 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 lots of apples. So this is a way to make this same slide. You can really extend. You can put the apple anywhere. You can put the cat anywhere. You can do a sleeping cat on the bed. You can have the cat eat the apples. You can throw the cat. No, I'm sorry. Well, you could throw the cat, but you can throw apples at the cat. You can do all kinds of things. This is a great extension, and there's lots of other things here that you could use. A lamp, table, window, and of course, if there's a little bit more advanced student, you can ask, do you have a cat? But folks, if you're still in level 2, unit 1, you're not going to be able to ask those kinds of extensions. So this is a great way to spend a lot of time on this slide using props, using TPR, using drag and drop interactive to keep the student engaged, feeling successful, and repeating those sentences. The apple is on the cat. And then that's something you can talk about in feedback, that we extended and used full sentences. So I hope this video helped you with some extension ideas, some prop ideas, some TPR ideas for this most basic of lessons that we have for trials. And I'm happy to report that this was successful. This 13-year-old, his very first class with VIPKid, his very first trial with the ABCs, they signed up. So I got the conversion bonus for that, for signing up a 13-year-old in level 2. So it's possible. And your attitude makes all the difference if you help the student feel successful. So if you have other tips for us on this particular unit, feel free to comment them below and share them with us so that we can learn from each other. Have a great day.